The white man has never been truthful. The white man has never been truthful in terms of him dealing with the African people. The white man does not keep his word. The white man is not honest. He promises one thing and he does another. They are not people of their words. You cannot trust a white man with anything. You can trust him with anything. He says, I will do this, he does that. He says, I will come there, he goes there. He says, I will not do this. That's exactly what he's going to do. And we're looking around as Africans and thinking that our saviors are going to be coming from the West. They are not coming. We better start thinking of what I call African monopoly business. How do we monopolize our businesses as Africans? Cameroon, how do we monopolize our business and stop sending money to the French people? How do we close into the big business space? And we wish some of these big millionaires that we hear are in Africa cannot just be millionaires on Forbes. We want them to be millionaires in their local countries. Be a millionaire in your local country, then buy the big business, then allow the smaller businesses to plug into you. That's how we're going to develop this continent and develop our countries. And if Trump says America comes first, we also need to come up with a big statement that says Africa comes first, Africans come first. Our investments will prioritize Africans. Our procurement will prioritize Africans. Our insurance will prioritize Africans. Our construction will prioritize Africans. Our fuel supply will prioritize Africans. Our medicine will prioritize Africans. And we begin to do business with Africa, with Africans, and with other Africans around us. So we need to become selfish in the last of it. Selfish in that we hold our own economy within our hands. We share it amongst ourselves. For what it is worth, we must actually put a big law in other countries, particularly in African countries, that externalization of money must be illegal, except for buying equipment and etc. and stuff that will recapacitate and improve a country. Because some people come into African countries, fellow Africans, they make the money. Immediately they make the money. They take the entire bag of money, run through the borders of the country, get to Mauritius, bank the money there, get to Cayman Islands, bank the money there, get to Virgin Islands, put the money there, get to Switzerland, put the money there. In other words, the very country where they made their money is not benefiting from their status of being millionaires. Now you hear that some of our African men has bought some penthouses in New York. He's blown up 48 million in New York. He's the richest man in Britain. That is Strive Masiwo, of course. He's got other interests, another business away from the country. But I wonder if all the money of Econet that is made in the country is being utilized in the country where it is being made. Similarly, so those who are selling minerals and etc. There need to be a way that when you sell the minerals, the money must be retained in the local country. Only through that will the banks begin to realize the honest transactions. And when money is available within the banks, they can't just keep it in the bank. They need to start giving away the money for other businesses to develop. Then you're beginning to develop an ecology, an economic ecology that allows a country to use its resources, export its raw materials, export its minerals, export its products, and with the money they make from the exports, bring back the money into the country, recapacitate, regrow, redevelop their infrastructure, electricity, telephone, communication, entertainment, and etc. Development needs to come from within. It needs to come from within, because donor money is not developmental money. When donor money comes to your country, it comes with an expectation of how you must spend the money. It comes with the people who must spend the money. And after they've given you that money, you owe them for the money for paying themselves. In other words, if America can say we are coming there to build up a road for you, they're not going to be building a road for you. They give you the money to build the road, but they don't give you the cash. They give you the credit note. They will bring their engineers. They will bring their own, implementers. They will pay their engineers the rates that the Americans are paying them, collect those monies that they've donated to you, walk back with them to America, and you owe them for the development that they have done. We have seen this with the Chinese, for example. We have seen this with Americans. When a Chinaman says, I'm coming to your country to invest, He don't just come and bring the money. He brings the money, brings his manpower, in some certain cases, even machineries and everything else. And some of those manuals for your own building are written in Chinese. You can't even read them. And you call that development. This method of prioritizing Africans must become our password. We need people who can own African businesses, and not only own small African businesses, big African businesses. We need to run our businesses and develop our continent from within. From within. If you have made money as an African, help your young brother, help your young sister, help your cousin, help your aunt also to make money like you're making money. And your family, you lift up your family. When families lift up each other, the communities lift up each other, the country lifts up each other, and finally the continent can be a participating partner on the global network. And I want just to pass those few words from Donald Trump, that Africa is a body part. And we say, if that is true, and then America comes first, with the same words, we need young African politicians who will begin to think in the same line, that Africa comes first and must come first in everything, must come first in everything that we are doing. That is what I call preferential procurement, biased economy, which promotes and is deliberately looking at Africans becoming first. Yes, not only a military way of fighting the colonialists who are now in black skins, but fight them politically, fight them entertainment, fight them in pharmaceuticals, fight them economically, fight them from insurance, fight them from education. You need to strategize, and even religiously so. So you need to strategize and see how best do we go across this monster that is settled on our continent, and how do we dismantle the colonial system. In some certain cases, we don't need to chase away the insurance companies. We don't need to chase away the steel manufacturers. We don't need to chase away these multinational businesses. We simply need to build parallel businesses. And then our governments must start moving their business towards the Africans. That's all it takes. And slowly you'll begin to see that when the government begins to put its money in African businesses, those colonial businesses that have been monopolizing the space over a long period of time will collapse. Ultimately, the dog that is being fed will always be more powerful than the dog that is hungry. So create for yourselves as Africans parallel businesses, bread manufacturing, milk production, tobacco sales, and etc. Fashion lines. We can't be buying Gucci's and buying all these things at this particular time, stolen brands from African designs. You look at this design here, if someone can pick it up right now in America, in France, they may come up with another brand of clothing and they decide to call it whatever they want to call it. To us, this is natural. To them, it's IP. And once it is stolen and it is in their hands, it is difficult for you to run those businesses. And so it's basically plagiarizing of brand and IP, because Africa is rich in IP, which is unregistered. All these brands and logos that you see, which are our cultural emblems, are not registered. So those that have mastered the IP space walk into these spaces, steal these brands, steal these logos, steal these designs, and own them for themselves. Africa, for Africans, we need to prioritize our own African people, own our economic space, own our businesses, be biased in terms of government. When you see a small African business, I'm not saying move everything at the same time, give them an opportunity, give them something to run. We may need to start learning how to do reverse engineering. How do we manufacture our tractors locally? How do we manufacture our pivots for irrigation locally? How do we manufacture our bags, our straws, our toothpicks, our toothbrushes, and etc. locally? We do that reverse engineering. Everything that your country is consuming in bulk can be made locally. If our universities and technical colleges can put their minds together and begin to understand how to build an economy, we don't need to be wasting time teaching students lots of formulas. They would rather be in the desk learning how to do reverse engineering, so that you graduate with a machine, piece of equipment that you will have built for yourself. So those in agriculture, show us what can you build. Those of you in road construction, show us what can you build. Those of you are in mining, show us. So the university has become an enabling factor into unlocking innovation of reverse engineering. And we can populate our space with our own equipment. And I thought school was all about that until I'm grown up now to discover schools are a waste of time. A waste of time. 7 years primary school, 4 years high school, 2 years Form 6, Form 7, another 4 years basic degree, 2 years master honors and masters, 3 years doctorate, 25 years wasted. And by the time you finish all these studies, you have produced nothing. You have a pile of papers that are hanging on the wall. Lord help me if you still make it alive. Many have died when they're still trying to achieve these qualifications. And you graduate with pieces of paper. Who has ever left an inheritance of pieces of paper? There's an inheritance for their children. Then you find that it's a waste of time. Reverse engineering is another way in which we can actually begin to develop local products without necessarily compromising on quality. Because that's where all these bodies we have in the country that are responsible for quality management come into space.